Everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
Going. Let's start getting some attendance in here. I expect we'll have a couple of people showing up as I'm taking attendance. I've not had any class yet today where everybody was on time. Okay, let's see. Laura is here. Attendance takes a little bit longer right now too, because we've got so many codes to put in. Laura's here. Nate is not yet here. Brandon is. Dylan, nope. Andre is here. Elijah is here. Jeremiah is here. Virtually present. Trinae, nope. Kat is here. Nevaeh is here. Deontay is here. Charlotte's here. Yay. Riley, no. Although, like, some of my Zooms are just letting people in without me admitting them. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why that's a thing.
Miss McClellan.
Yeah. Oh, hey. Hey. You're outside Elijah's window. Creepy. We can do emojis now? What the heck? Okay, this is bothersome. It is vexing me. She always screams at me. Because Trinae has shown up and I didn't realize that at first. So now I feel like I have to go back through everybody and make sure I'm not marking anybody absent, that it's not actually absent. Let's see, is Brenaya here? No. Okay. I'm gonna say the names of people I have marked absent, and if you're here, holler at me. Nate?
Yeah.
Nate, you're here. I'm so glad I decided to do this then. Maybe I need to just like later on today, I need to shut off my computer and turn it back on, because maybe I updated some settings, but they haven't kicked in yet. Dylan? Nope. Riley? Tiana? Oh, Tiana's birthday is Thursday. Brenaya? Okay. Okay, if anybody else shows up, we're just gonna, I'll have to, yes, Jemiah, I got you, you're here. As far as I know, people who are absent are Dylan, Riley, Tiana, Brenaya. If they show up, I'll just have to change it in a little bit, and hopefully, I never realized until today how much like admitting people helps me keep up with attendance, because when you just have people coming in willy-nilly, it's hard to tell when they're coming in. I guess I could also have the little noise that comes in when people come in, but I don't like that. Okay, first thing we're gonna do is a little bit of, see, somebody just showed up. Who is it? It's Tiana. Okay. I'm gonna try to fix this before tomorrow, because it makes me feel like I'm losing my mind. And maybe I am, but I would like to think that I'm not. Okay, she is virtually present. I want to be like, if anybody else shows up, yell at me, but like, if they show up now, they won't know that I said that. Okay, first thing we're going to do is look at, last week we were looking at detail and diction. Today we're going to look at imagery, which I feel like there is a little bit of overlap between imagery and detail, because sometimes the detail that really, what's the word I'm looking for? What is the word? I feel like I have aphasia or something. That like intensifies a passage or a sentence is imagery. And today we're going to focus specifically on imagery. So what we're going to look at is two stanzas from this poem called Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of this before. It's actually a very famous poem. The whole thing is very, very long. I had to read it in college. But if you've ever heard, and maybe you haven't, but you might have heard about people saying that like if they have a big burden in their lives, they say it's like an albatross around their neck. And that comes from this poem, because an albatross is a type of bird, and at one point it's like literally around this guy's neck, like it's hanging like a burden. And we've turned that into a metaphor over the years. Okay. I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and we're going to look at these first two stanzas of this poem. And the questions we're going to answer about it are basically, between these two stanzas, the poet's attitude or the speaker's attitude changes in regards to the sea creatures that he's looking at. So the questions that we're going to answer just out loud, this is not a written thing, are what is the attitude in each paragraph or each stanza, and what examples of imagery help convey that attitude. So let's read these two stanzas. The many men so beautiful, and they all dead did lie, and 1,000,000 slimy things lived on, and so did I. Within the shadow of the ship, I watched their rich attire, blue, glossy green, and velvet black. They coiled and swam, and every track was a flash of golden fire. Okay, so in this first paragraph, I don't know why I keep saying paragraph, stanza. In this first stanza, what is the speaker's attitude towards the sea creatures? Feel free to either speak or type it in the chat. What is his attitude towards the sea creatures? Okay, let's have an easier question. What kind of imagery is there in the first stanza? What imagery pops out at us? Envy. Ooh, maybe. In the first stanza, and what imagery leads you to think that? You're not wrong.
I guess, to be honest.
Okay, that's fine. So I'm gonna kind of like play off of what Andre said. I actually see envy more in the second one, and definitely a more negative attitude in the first. Not that envy is positive, but in the first stanza, the imagery that sticks out to me is 1,000,000 slimy things. How does that make us feel? 1,000 slimy things. What's the attitude there?
Negative.
Yeah, negative, grossed out. Yeah, 100%. And also, like, even though it's less imagery, the fact that you've got a lot of men dead wherever this is, that's not positive. That's kind of gross. All these people are dead, but these 1,000 slimy things live on. And it is sort of like grossed out, disgusted. But then we look at the second paragraph. Within the shadow of the ship, I watched their rich attire, blue, glossy green, and velvet black. They coiled and swam, and every track was a flash of golden fire. How is the imagery different in this paragraph? what kind of attitude does that imagery convey?
Could you repeat your question? I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. In this second stanza, what kind of imagery is in that stanza, and how is it different from the first stanza?
It's more positive.
It is more positive, yeah. I'm kind of going back. I know Andre said he guessed, but I'm going to kind of go back to that because I don't think that that's a bad guess. It's either it or the Demogorgon. I support that. I support that reading of it. It does have different tones. You're right, Tiana. Going back to envy, I did this in another class and I said maybe like admiration, because in this first paragraph, it's definitely gross, like 1,000 slimy things. In this one, it does make them seem almost more like mysterious or mystical, especially when he says, I'm watching them within the shadow of the ship. And seeing all these things about him, like it's really, the way that he describes the colors are really beautiful. Blue, glossy green, velvet black. Every track was a flash of golden fire. Which like that kind of makes me think of it, actually. It's got a thing about your hair is winter fire. That makes me think of that. Yes, in the chat I have, he seems amazed. I think he does seem amazed. It's definitely much more positive imagery in this second stanza, which is kind of funny because in the first one, there's not actually that much imagery. It's just that third line, 1,000 slimy things. But we get that attitude of like, ugh, 1,000 slimy things in this like dead water. And then in the second paragraph, he's watching them and seeing all these like beautiful, vivid colors. He does seem sort of amazed. I'd actually like to go, it's been a long time since I read that. I'd like to go back and see in context, like what exactly it's talking about. So tomorrow, you're going to write your own thing. It says, think of a cat or a dog. You can think of any animal. It doesn't have to be a cat or a dog that you can describe easily. And you're going to write a description that reveals a positive attitude towards the animal. And then think of the same animal and write a description which reveals a negative attitude. The animal's looks are not going to change. Just your attitude is. And you want to use imagery rather than explanation to create your descriptions. So you don't want to say like, he's beautiful and then he's gross. Like maybe he is both things, but you want to make your imagery reflect that. One positive attitude and then one negative. The example I used earlier, I saw in my Facebook memories where I had posted a video of this naked hedgehog that like he for some reason has shed all his spines. And so he just is a little like naked, gross thing. And he has to get like all these oil massages every day to like prevent his skin from cracking and stuff. He's very vulnerable because he doesn't have spines. And he is kind of gross looking, like he's kind of repulsive to look at, but he's also sort of adorable. And I feel like I would write about that guy, Nelson the Naked Hedgehog. Because in one paragraph I could talk about how he's so adorable and like kind of vulnerable and just want to like pick him up and take care of him. And then the other one, like he's kind of gross and he looks just kind of like but I feel bad even saying that because he's actually adorable. Naked cats. I kind of want a hairless cat. I'm allergic to cats, but I'm guessing I wouldn't be allergic to a hairless cat. And I would name it Voldemort because I think they sort of look like Voldemort. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a new assignment. And it seems kind of involved, but it's really not. This is on Canvas, or at least it should be, as long as the module is posted. Yay! Oh, it's not. Why am I yaying? Let's move this up. Okay, Crucible Context Keynote, and it could be Google Slides also. We're going to start reading this play, The Crucible, probably this week. I actually have to like change my plans a little bit. But you're each going to research a few questions regarding the time period, Puritans, their beliefs, what happened in Salem, aka the Salem witch trials. After you gather your research, you're going to create a keynote or Google Slides presentation that contains the information that you learned. I've got the topics and questions below. For everyone, more than one person is going to be researching this, so you can feel free to consult each other. If you're answering the same questions, you're not going to do it together because that is just difficult. I did originally intend for this to be a group project, but then we went virtual and it didn't make a ton of sense to do it that way. But they're listed below. One quick sec and I'll go through it. So everybody's presentation needs to have a title slide, informational slides that present relevant information about all the stuff regarding your topic. You have specific questions to answer. Try to stick to big picture information. There's not really a limit to the number of slides that you should or can have, but you really shouldn't have more than like 30 words per slide. Really the purpose of presentations is to like deliver it out loud. We're not going to do that just because being virtual, it doesn't make too much sense to do it that way. But you do want to make sure you have the crucial information. Your slide should abbreviate the important idea. Well, it says it so people can take notes. I don't expect that. But you don't want to have lengthy amounts of information on slides. You don't want to have paragraphs. You should have at least one picture per slide. You can do like clip art. You can do pictures you find on Google. You can draw things if you want. And then your final slide should be the big three. And that's just going to be a slide with the 3 most important facts for your presentation. Like here are the big takeaways. Everybody has like 4 to 7 questions. Some people have more than others. It's not, the groups are totally random. It's not anything like, I'm not trying to give some people more and some people less. But some of them are just a little bit more detailed. So you've got your topics and your questions here. The first topic is daily life in Salem, and Laura, Jemiah, and Tiana are all going to be doing these. Describe the Puritan society, clothing, family life, religious beliefs, jobs, etc. Just kind of like an overview of what Puritans were all about. How did their clothing support their religious views? Describe the types of homes that probably existed in Salem, specifically what a palisade is and why it was necessary. Describe the family life of Puritans and what was the hierarchy of the Salem family in town. So keeping that in mind, you've got 5 questions to answer there. You could potentially do 5 slides there, which means you would actually have 7 slides. You would have your title slide, informational slides for each one, and then your final slide. But you might decide that you want to do more than that. Like that's sort of a lot of stuff for Puritans: society, clothing, family life, religious beliefs. And you don't have to go into like extraneous detail, but you want to kind of hit on most of that stuff. So if you want more than 1 slide per question, that's totally fine. Puritanism and Government, Nate, Trinae, and Brunei are going to be doing this one. Define Puritans and Puritanism, just the basic stuff. What were some of the basic Puritan beliefs? What is predestination? How would Puritans view those of other faiths and religions? Where did Puritans come from and why did they come to the New World? List some ways of Puritanism in the 1600s that wouldn't work well today. Like what's some stuff that they believe that just kind of wouldn't fly in 2021? And what is a theocracy and how would it affect the view of Salem residents towards witchcraft? I split witchcraft into 2. Because there were more questions on that than anything else. Brandon, Kat, and Riley are going to be answering these 4. Describe, and now I'm not sure I'm pronouncing this word correctly, but maleficium, I think I'm pronouncing that right, and theological witchcraft. Explain how the Puritans thought of witches. which type of person was most likely to be considered a witch. I definitely would, by the way. And how did property and land contribute to accusations of witchcraft? And then the second witchcraft one, Dylan and Nevaeh are going to answer, explain ergotism and how it may have played a role in the witch trials, which actually in the video we watched the other day, I think it mentioned that. Define clinical hysteria, explain how stress and clinical hysteria could account for some of the unusual behaviors observed. For the record, clinical hysteria is not a thing that we believe in anymore because science has come a long way. I had Mike Bauman here one day talking to my seniors about psychology, and he was talking about hysteria and how we used to just like lock women up for all sorts of things. If they had mood swings or if they were too interested in like furthering themselves, like reading, if women were interested in sex, that wasn't okay. Like all these things, basically like if a woman had a mind of their own, they chalked it up to clinical hysteria. Mike was like, Miss McClellan would definitely be locked in asylum if she lived in that time period. So I was like, thanks. In what forms does witchcraft exist today? How are modern day witches treated or viewed? And for that one, just like think about what is known and how they're portrayed in movies and TV. I also split the witch trials one. Yes, basically. Everybody on their menstrual cycle, which is not a thing that we talked about in the 1600s either. Not okay. Split the witch trials into two sections just because there were more. So Andre and Deontay, the first question is, who are these people and what happened to them in 1692? These four people are all people that are in the play we're going to read, but they were also real people. What personal goals did Thomas Putnam have in accusing others of witchcraft? Also a character in the play who was a real person. Look at the timeline of the witch trials. What behaviors started to appear among the villagers? And then lastly, who were Betty Paris, Abigail Williams, and Tituba? Can I be Tree B? What? What does that mean?
It's a role in a play, like being tree B, tree A.
Oh, I don't
It
think
just
we
wants to
have,
be a tree.
I don't think we have those in this play. Although I should have known what you meant because I was in The Wizard of Oz when I was in high school, and one of my friends was like Tree B. She was a tree. I was a flying monkey. So for those, Andre and Deontay, you might want to do more than 4 slides just because like you might want a slide to describe who you've got a lot of people to talk about. So you might want more than just 4 slides, kind of up to you. And then lastly, Elijah and Charlotte, y'all are also talking about the witch trials. Who was the first person officially executed? Hint, she was a tavern owner. How did her station in society influence her fate? I can't imagine, this is just like a little help for you guys. I can't imagine that a female tavern owner back then would have been well respected. Describe a typical trial for a witch. Describe some of the tests for a witch. And again, if you were here the other day when we watched the video, they talked about some of the tests and they were crazy. They're like throwing you into a lake, and if you float, you're a witch. If you sink, you're not, but you might drown and be dead anyway. And then there was something involving like making a cake and putting urine on it and making a dog eat it. Like, I know. And I also don't know what that proves. Like, what does it have to do in order for you to prove that they're a witch? I don't know. Something about like, if the dog acts crazy after he eats it, then you're a witch. But I'm like, I don't know. Maybe a dog is just acting crazy because you fed him a urine cake. I don't know. And what was especially bizarre and unfair about the accusation of Rebecca Nurse? And for the record, Rebecca Nurse, our very own Rebecca Darling, is a descendant of Rebecca Nurse. Isn't that cool? She was a witch. She's not a witch. Okay, give me just a second here because I see that several people have sent me private messages and I just haven't been able to look at them yet. Oh. Okay. So I do want to give you guys most of this class period to work on this. This is due Thursday night. We will have pretty much the whole day tomorrow to work on it. For those of you who were maybe not here last week, we talked about this at the beginning of school, but I'm going to kind of use Wednesdays as like a day to make sure that you're not falling behind. Again, I don't want to say a catch-up day because I don't want to think that anyone has to catch up. Hopefully you're where you should be and you're turning things in, but let's be serious. That doesn't always happen. So I'll give you a list of like what you can still work on tomorrow, but you'll also have the whole day, the rest of today and tomorrow to work on this. That being said, we've done okay in this class with turning stuff in, but not great. And I don't want anyone to start off at a deficit. Hopefully you guys remember what the late work policy is for, well, for all of high school. But so far, we're not doing great with turning stuff in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold off on really implementing the late work policy for the rest of this week. And anything that you guys can get turned in by Monday, I will not count it late. I haven't counted anything late so far this year when I've graded it. And I like to stick to a very strict late work policy, but I also just understand that the beginning of this year has been a little nutty. People have been out either because they're sick or because they've been exposed. We can't always control it, and that sucks, but it's real life, unfortunately. So I'm just going to kind of extend this first grading bit until Monday, and anything you can get turned in before Monday, I won't count late. So I'll give you a list tomorrow of just everything we've had so far and everything that you could still be working on and get credit for. Most of you probably have at least one thing that you have not turned in. But try to get everything turned in that you can before the end of this week, and we'll just kind of like Monday, I will reiterate what the late work policy is, and I'll crack down on it a lot harder. But I just want to make sure that we're starting out positively and nobody immediately feels like overwhelmed and is letting stuff pile up on them. We definitely don't want that. Yes, you can add pictures. I got that question in the chat. You should have pictures. And if you really want to go all out and like put GIFs in there and make cool designs and like different fonts and things, that's fine. You can be as creative as you want. I encourage it. So let me just real quick. Okay, one more thing. I think I've just decided this. Since every section, every topic has multiple people doing it. If you want to do the same presentation together, work on it together, you can. If you don't, like if you don't know your person really at all, or don't like them or just want to do it on your own, then that's totally fine. So this is an optionally group project. You can do it on your own. You can do it with your group. Sound good?
Yes.
Sounds fine and dandy to me.
Perfect. Okay. Oh, and sorry, before I tell you guys you can go, I just want to go back through attendance because I do see some people showed up, and I'll figure that out, but I don't want to mark anybody absent that is actually here. Okay, Riley didn't show up and Dylan didn't show up. Okay. All right, so if you guys want to leave the Zoom and work on this on your own, you can do that. I'll be here for the rest of the time, the rest of the class time. So if you need any help or have any questions or anything, I'll still be here. I am going to turn my camera and microphone off, but I'll hang out. Y'all just let me know if you need me. And if you decide to leave and work independently, then I'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, Miss McClellan.
Bye.
See you later, Miss McClellan.
See ya.
I'll have most of my work turned in by tomorrow.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Miss McClellan.
Mhm.
I have okay, so I know that some of the assignments are locked.
Yes.
And
So if they're locked, you can just email it to me.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Charlotte, I think the only things that you were here for would be the creation myth, which is the biggest grade that y'all have had so far this year. And you may have been here for the Native American stereotype thing. I really don't remember. But if you get the original creation myth done, then I'll just excuse you on the rest of it.
I was here for the the Jeopardy. That was the last time I was in your class, was the Jeopardy thing.
Oh, the Jeopardy thing. Gosh, I don't even remember what day that was. So did you not see any of the Native American stuff?
Let me go back. Back. Queen.
Try to see when we did Jeopardy.
Okay, I see. They see Native American stereotypes: do not drink the water, original, you know that stuff.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure you were not here for don't drink the water. But I think you were probably still here for the creation myths.
No, I was here Monday, and then I left. I was here last Monday, and then I had to leave again because people kept testing positive.
Last Monday you were here?
Yep.
Oh, wow. I felt like you'd been out longer than that. Well, I mean, we haven't been in school for very long, but it sort of feels like we have.
I was out for like this. I went to school for 3 days, and then I went to school Monday and couldn't go back, and then I went 2 weeks. So yeah. So
Okay.
I've been in school like 5 days.
Yeah, we actually just haven't been in school as long as I feel like we have. Okay, so you were here last Monday, which was like the 30th.
Probably. I only made it to my bit. I only made it through lunch.
Okay. Or that would have been okay. So it looks like you were here. Do you remember the don't drink the water thing? I'm trying to remember what day we did that.
I
It was
wasn't,
a song that we listened to.
wasn't there for that.
You were not here for that?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I didn't think so. Okay.
Well, I can. Mhm.
Okay, so I think you were here when we did the overview, like the presentation on Native American Lit, and then we read some creation myths, and the assignment was to write your own. I think you were here for that, but not for any of the other stuff, which is fine. So the only thing really,
I wasn't here for the last week of the month.
right?
I don't think
So on Canvas, I think you were here for the first module, but not for the second one. So all of that stuff, and I don't even think that you were here for all of that first module. So I think the only thing that I'm going to want you to make up, and it honestly doesn't matter to me like when you get it in. You don't need to have it in by Monday, because you've probably got a lot of stuff for a lot of classes. But the original creation myth, which is in the first module, if you will do that, then I'll just excuse you from the other stuff.
Okay.
Okay. And it's pretty easy. It's very creative. If you want to go back and look at any of the other creation myths that we read, just as kind of like a model, then you can do that. But basically, it's just like you writing 700 words. It's either a creation myth or a trickster story. You can do either one, and just kind of try to like emulate the style of Native American myths. Like I would recommend using animals, any like number symbolism or patterns that you want to do. And all that stuff is in the assignment anyway, but just wanted to let you know.
So like a story about unicorns and dolphins. Wait, no, dolphins are real.
You
Unicorns,
could.
flying dolphins.
You can write about flying dolphins. That could be fun.
That's it. Today's assignment and the creation myth.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just gonna go ahead and exempt you from the other things.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
See ya.
See ya.